quick question. Why do you think the world is going to end? Why is it that people honestly think that America is founded upon Christianity? It's not, you know. This really isn't a matter of opinion either. It's a demonstrable historic fact. Thomas Jefferson rewrote the Bible to omit anything supernatural. John Adams referred to it as a dunghill. The first United States Congress unanimously passed a bill that stated specifically, America is in no way founded upon the Christian religion. Verbatim. It's a legal document that states that specifically. Do you honestly think that applies only to Tripoli? Is America not founded on the Christian religion only for people in Tripoli? How does that even make sense? In God We Trust did not become a motto until 1954, and the term God was used generally to appeal to all people of all faith. A decade later, people were concerned that a Catholic would take office. And now we have a candidate for presidency who states that Kennedy's assurance that Christian interests would not impose upon his sworn duties to uphold the very integrity of freedom and liberty for all people make him sick to his stomach. Why is that? Why is he even being taken seriously as a candidate? How did such a man even become deemed to fit candidacy to run our country? Could it possibly be that because most of America, being primarily Christian, would assume that in God we trust means Christ, that in Christ we trust? Could it be because that Christian children raised with that motto being in place would just assume that it meant their God? Do you think it has anything to do with their parents lying to them and telling them that it does? Do you think maybe that the reason so many people think the world is ending is because the world that their parents were trying to insulate and protect them from can be seen for what it is and always has been when they reach their adulthood? Do you think it might be that people think the world is going to undergo some apocalypse simply because they were told that it would by someone they view as an authority figure? Could it be that the end of days that were described in the Bible as being now at hand, as they were written, applied to the culture and time of the author, St. John? He was being held prisoner for trying to provoke a revolution, you know. Did you know that? Ever noticed how 666, the mark of the beast, might be considered another way of describing the placement of two-thirds? A fifth grader actually pointed that out to me. That was pretty interesting. Did you know that Rome was a pure democracy, deciding on the whim of the majority? Ever wonder why a pure two-thirds democracy doesn't work? Ever notice that the book of Revelations can be accurately applied to the fall of Rome? Ever think then that maybe the passages are a bit dated and non-applicable to today? Why, or why not? Honestly, why do you and so many others think the world is coming to an end? I hear so many speak about reclaiming our country and getting us back to our roots. What roots are they talking about? I mean, in 1910, people were dying from dysentery. The average life expectancy was around 49. Black people couldn't vote or even use the same bathrooms or even go to the same restaurants as white people. Women couldn't vote either. And law enforcement held a blind eye to spouse abuse. The literacy rate in America on average was also substantially lower. The employment and economic state of things were not too different from the way they are now, but one might suggest that the quality of life for the unemployed is arguably higher than it was then. Is that really what you want to see reclaimed? Is that the time you want to go back to? Are those the roots you're talking about? If the state of things now is any indication of a coming climactic end, then why didn't the world end in 1910? What's so wrong with the way things are now? Sure, improvements can be made. Things can always be improved upon. So what's keeping us from improving them? Does it have anything to do with people just being resigned to failure? Does it have anything to do with people thinking they're fighting a losing battle? Does it have anything to do with the belief in apocalypse? How far is it between believing in apocalypse and desiring it? And why, though? Why would anybody want the world to end? Why would anyone want you to believe the world is ending? So that they can save you from it, maybe? Who would do that? What would they have to gain? When would this have all started, if that's the case? Does anyone else think it odd that today we live in a world where to be taken seriously as a viable candidate, you have to believe in the Bible, whereas 45 years ago, people were worried that you believed in it too much? What's changed since then? When did this all actually start? You know, today, people in office that oppose abortion are now passing bills that make getting pregnant to begin with harder to avoid. How does that make any amount of sense? Is this what the world is becoming? Why is that? How does this even make any sense? How could we allow this to happen? Is this what we want? To go back? Is this the world that we want to go back to? Are these our roots? Is this what we're reclaiming? Why does it seem that people are trying to hold on to something that we never had in our hands to begin with? And what is it that they're even trying to hold on to? Apocalypse?